Hey friends, I have to be checked into the ER this week. On this episode of My Kid Better Love Me, right? I had developed a blood clot on my leg. What's it called? A DVT? Turns out I had a DVT on my leg. I had been experiencing like shortness of breath and a high heart rate. Shout out to my Apple Watch for like notifying me. I told my sister and my sister was like, call your OB. I called my OB. I wasn't thinking much of it. I was just like, oh, I'm pregnant. Like, pregnant woman can't breathe well anyway. The lady at the front desk was like, I'll have him call you back, but you said shortness of breath. Let me consult with the nurse. And the nurse is like, you should consult with the OB who's here. And then the OB who's there got on the phone with me and she was like, you should go to the ER. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess it's like a big deal or something, right? We went to the ER. They immediately like did this ultrasound of my whole body and found that I had a blood clot behind my knee. One might have traveled already to your lung, a pulmonary, whatever the heck, it escapes me right now. What's it called? A pulmonary what? When it goes up, it's called a pulmonary what? Huh? A pulmonary embolism. The guy was even like, oh yeah, you could die. And I was like, oh my God. It apparently makes up for 11% of death for pregnant women to get a pulmonary embolism. So it was a big deal to have a clot because that's what they anticipate is the next step, for it to like break off and travel up to your lung and then apparently to your brain, and it's just bad. They checked me into the hospital. I was there overnight. Now I'm on blood thinners for the rest of my pregnancy. So I'll have to inject twice a day. Blood thinners, it's like a little injection. You pinch, inject. The injection itself isn't painful, but the liquid burns. The lesson I learned here is if anything feels weird, to just call your OB or just go to the ER, especially when you're pregnant. If anything feels a little bit weird, they'll do extensive testing to see what it is. As soon as you're pregnant, they're like, oh, you're pregnant? You're gonna go to labor and delivery. And I'm like, no, the OB specifically said not to put me in labor and delivery, to go through you guys so you guys can eliminate the blood clot possibility. And they were like, whatever. And it was like their super was a blood clot. Afterwards, they were like, oh, wow. Anyway, the baby's okay. She's like swimming around, living her best life, but I will have to be on blood thinners for the rest of the pregnancy. New things to worry about. It's funny because when I disappear and I stop like responding to people, people tend to get mad. And I'm like, I was literally in the ER. Like, how insensitive. You guys need to like reel it back in. Not you guys, but like other people. Relax. Almost died. All right. Just make sure that you're walking around every hour at least for 25 seconds, according to the hematologist. Stand up, just stand there, embrace the stand, and then sit down. Apparently what happens is when you're sitting at a 90-degree angle, your blood flow gets cut off at your waist, so you just have to stand up at least once an hour so you don't develop a clot. We're still pregnant. It's still good. We're still happy about it.